So you went to Marysville?
Yeah, we went to Arboga, Marysville. See, we didn't go to Walerga and Sacramento here. They sent us to Arboga and Marysville.
And where did you gather to leave? Where did you meet to leave?
I think,
Before you went to Marysville, how did you get to Marysville?
well, they took us to, we had to meet, I think they had a packing shed in Florence where I think, where that, what is that big market is there right now? By the railroad track. Is that lumber yard there? There used to be a packing house there on the railroad track. So we had to go there. Then they put us on an old Greyhound bus and took us to Marysville.
And what was Marysville like, the Assembly Center?
Well, the Marysville, it was the campus. It wasn't a permanent campus, it was an assembly center. So what they did, as I remember, they had an outside shell. You know, you could see that 2x4 tar paper on the outside. Well, you seen the building, and nothing on the inside. And they had a wall partition, but the top was all open. So you had no. That's one thing you missed, privacy. Then they had an outhouse set up, but that was one of the hardest thing to get used to. The men wasn't so bad, like female. They had side by side, back to back. That was one of the hardest things to get. And taking a shower, like Japanese Issei, like my dad, they used the hot tub, you know. They had to take a shower, and you never had hot water because they took the hot water in the kitchen. I think that was one of the hardest things. Then another thing was for the Issei parents, the family structure was gone. In other words, you ate in a mess hall, in a table, like on a picnic table. That's right. And like us, you know, you make new friends, so you go eat with them, you eat a family, or they come and sit with you. The family structure was gone. That's
What? Who all went to Marysville in your family? Your grandfather?
our whole family went over there.
So it's your grandfather, your
because
grandmother?
we was living together, don't forget.
Right.
See, my grandfather passed away a year before. Good thing he did.
Okay, he passed away before
Oh,
you.
yeah.
So how many of there were you in your room in?
Well, see, in our family we had 5. See, 5 20 by 25. Then if you had let's say newlywed, they had a 15 by 25 in the width of the barrack. Anyway, that's all they had room for. One cot for each person, and a pot-belly stove and a 60-watt light bulb. But at least better than you get. We went to Marysville and 2 Lakes, so it wasn't too bad. But you go Hart Mountain. You heard about Hart Mountain. You get 30 below there, and that's all you had. No insulation. You had a stove there. But you go to Arkansas, get a lot of bugs and all that. The swampland. On top of that, they had to cut their own firewood. Like us, we had coal.
So you were only in Marysville for about a month?
Yeah, about a month, yeah.
What did you do while you were there?
Almost nothing. But you know, I go around and talk to the school kids. You know, that's one of the hardest things to do. Sit around and do nothing. You know, you talk about the prison riot when you don't have nothing to do. I couldn't understand why. You go crazy because there's no magazine to read or nothing. Don't forget, and then actually 8 hours a day. You know, we used to play cards. You know, pinochle and bridges, but you could just do so much of that. That's why. That's why when I went through that, and then you hear about the prison rioting, nothing to do, bored. I couldn't understand why. You go crazy.
Did your dad or anybody work at Marysville?
No. See, don't forget, Marysville was an assembly center, so they didn't have no like warehouse, like 2 Lakes. They had warehouse, packing house, carpenter shop, paint shop, things like that. It was like a village in itself. See, but Marysville was just an assembly center, so they had absolutely nothing. That's all I remember. They had. Hasty put up. They had one board in a 1x6 or 1x12. They had a window, that one of those what they call that Oklahoma, that old building they had, the shutter thing. No screen, nothing. And I still remember that town, that the Arboga Assembly Center is that they were next to a slough, and it was in the springtime. And boy, you turn that light on, about 45 minutes time, there was so much bugs in there you couldn't even see the light bulb because there was no screen on a window. Yeah. But one thing you missed, you lose your privacy. Everything was communal, you know. Don't forget. See, like over in the Assembly Center, the whole top was open. They had partition, but the whole top was open. So that's why if you have a couple having an argument, you could hear the whole bag, 125 foot. Everybody could know.
Any stories about the Assembly Center that come to mind?
Oh yeah, that you have a lot of family argument. You could hear that, and then you get that. I still remember an old man, middle of the night, about 9, 10 o'clock every night. You get gas and you get whole bear. Okay, now we can go to bed.
How was the food?
Food was just like a lot similar to Army, because don't forget the Army controlled that. So you didn't have no Japanese food. Towards the end we got a little rice, But as far as the food goes, well, it's edible. But as far as the cook goes, because like we had farmers cooking, for the whole block. For, 12, 14 barracks, So, it wasn't all that great, but, it was edible. But at least once a week we had this, I still remember the doggone fish. I think it's codfish. It was terrible, man. Yeah, either you eat it or go hungry. But then that some of the mess hall, don't forget all the, in the one camp mess hall, what we, like us, we were 16, 17 years old. We were active enough, we hear that's going to have something else. They have some beef stew or something. We run over the hell with our mess, so we go to somewhere else. And, wherever we heard that they have a good food that we like, we used to run over there. But then they start giving the card for meal ticket, for the block, to cut that out because each kitchen had limited amount of food for so many amount of people. But like us, we used to chase all over heck for food.
So, anything else come to mind about?
But one thing, far as getting a girlfriend wasn't bad at all because he was 16, 17 years old. Each block, you want to meet somebody, it's simple. See, but then you see some good-looking guy you want to meet, so you find out what block she lives on. That's all you had to do. See, so far as I go, I was 17 years old, 16, 17 years. Like us, we didn't have no chores to do, so that's all we, more or less go to school. That's all we had to do. See, so if you want to cut school, you cut school, whatever. But another thing we used to do is you get a test. Here we had a test. So what we do is, we had a lot of the sulfur in the coal. So you have a hot fire going. We choke that stove so you won't, and that sulfur, that smoke come in the classroom. It gets so bad, no school, no class.